Hello guys, I'm back from another video and today we're talking about what if Deku never got one for all. So, in the last video we talked about how in the whole origin story about Izuku basically coming to be, apparently Inko kind of hooked up with All For One until they got a falling out and yeah, basically something happened. He also has a sister and unlike in some of my other what ifs, she doesn't have a quirk, so both of them are also quirkless. So, yeah. But unlike, well, you know, in some, iterations of Izuku that I made, Izuku, or more specifically, his sister, Izumi, absolutely loves heroes and is basically just like Izuku in canon, but for Izuku here, he doesn't really like heroes and plans to be a type of artificial quirk maker. He wants to make artificial quirks to the quirkless and also the weak quirk users of this world. But he's now currently working with All For One's goons, but he doesn't know that All For One is actually his dad. He also gets a weird he finds himself in a Celtic, battlefield, where several Celtic soldiers were basically fighting each other. As this man with this large spear basically starts attacking everybody, but let's just say he, gets defeated as he straps his body in some sort of stone. As when he does die, the stone would start glowing, turning into a large rune, as he would tell him this: "My name is Ku." But he doesn't tell anything else because the dream was over. So, some shenanigans basically happened as he lost his job because of the heroes basically arriving and also being beaten up by a villain and also a hero telling him to get away because he's quirkless. So now he's basically at home, basically crying in his bedroom. So yeah, that's basically what happened last episode. And so, let's talk about what happens next. And also, before we actually start this episode, I want all of you guys to pick a, ship for this, what if. Because I don't really have an idea for the ship. So, just comment down below which is going to be the ship for this what if. And also for the whole, Celtic thing, you probably know this hero. I'll give you a hint. This hero is basically a man that's also named after a famous dog in Celtic mythology. Not only that, he's also considered as the quote-unquote child of light of Ireland. I'll give you another hint. He's also from Fate Stay Night. Anyway, so, let's start the actual what if. So, the next day comes as Izuku's basically starts researching on his notebook, and it's still pretty much early in the morning, maybe 4 a.m., as his mother basically knocks on his door as he opens the door, seeing his mother. She would say this: "Izuku, it's too early for you." And as she sees all of the vials and many other things that he's currently working on, as Izuku would say this: "Yeah, what is it, Mom?" As she would say this: "Izuku, you need to stop. Besides, you can probably just work something out. Maybe we can assign you into a grocery shop," or as Izuku would say this: "No, I want to become a doctor, okay, Mom? And don't worry about me. You can just do whatever you want. Maybe just I don't know. Anyway, maybe you still have work, right?" As she would say this: "Yeah, and it's already time for me to go, so be careful here and also take care of your sister." As he would say this: "Yes, Mom." She starts leaving as Izuku would start preparing everything, including breakfast. As when Izumi wakes up, Izumi is wearing something. Some winter clothing, even though it actually is kind of raining outside, so it makes sense. As he would say this: "Why are you wearing that?" As she would say this: "Oh, just going to UA." As Izuku would say this: "Wait, what?" As she would say this: "Why? I can't go to UA?" As Izuku would say this: "No, Izumi, I mean, Why the... Wait for a second. I said because you can't become a hero because you're quirkless. You're obviously quirkless, Izumi. You can't become a stupid hero. As she would say this. I can because... Look! As she starts creating green sparks. Because she is the new inheritor of One for All. As Izuku would say this. What? How the... As she would say this. I think it's because I was a late bloomer. Yeah, maybe that's it. As Izuku would say this. You've got a quirk? As she would say this. Yep, and now I'm gonna be going to you. As Izuku would say this. You have a quirk. You hid this from me, right? Because you pitied me, right? As she would say this. No, I didn't pity you. I mean, as Izuku would say this. I'm going back to bed. As she would say this. Wait, you didn't even eat. As Izuku would say this. Just eat breakfast alone. After all, you are a quirk user just like Mom. As he would start going upstairs and leaves. As Izumi would say this. Izuku, I should prepare to go now. I don't want to miss the entrance exam. As she would start leaving, I meant to wait for a second. As she locks the door, leaving. Izuku would be punching his, wall. As Izuku would say this. How? How? She was hiding that quirk from me. Did she lie? Did she lie? Just because it was quirkless as well? Did she lie because of pity? Izumi. Even though I do care for you, but you lied. You liar. As he would hear a voice. It seems that you're quite mad. I guess that's why you're kind of weak. As Izuku would look over and see nothing. As Izuku would say this. Who's talking? Who are you? Are you a villain? As she would say this. Or he, in this case, sorry. He would say this. Nope. I'm just here because I kinda pitied you. I mean, you've been in a bad hand in this world. Being bullied, being called weak, even pounded to the ground and being exploded right in the face by your old so-called best friend. As Izuku would just say this. I said just shut up. As he would say this. Oh, and your sister even lied. She lied because she pitied you. She lied because if she were to tell you that she was actually a quirk user, you would be, as you would say this. I said just shut up! As he would say this. Why? Why should I shut up? I mean, you are weak, as he would say this. I said, just. As he starts falling to the ground, as he would say this. I just said shut up. I know I'm weak. I know that I'm a quirkless little shit. I know that I'm... As the guy, or the voice, just says this. Are you perhaps angry at the world? As he would say this. Yes, obviously. As he would say this. Are you perhaps feeling despair? As he would say this. Yes. As he would say this. Very well then. Are you perhaps even wanting power? Do you want to change this world, perhaps? As he would say this. Yes. Wait for a second. As he would say this. I see. Very well then. As something appears in the form of a man. wearing a dog pelt, or at least that's what he thinks. This man seems to be covered in tattoos, including a tattoo on his chest that resembles a wolf, as this man's eyes resemble wolf's eyes, as he has sharp teeth, and wielding the same spear. It was the same man in his dream, as he would say this. Call me the first hero of Ireland. The first hero of Ireland. The great and powerful hero, the child of light. They call me Cuchulainn. As he would say this. Cuckoo what? As he would say this. Seriously, you don't know my name? I'm one of the greatest heroes of Ireland. I mean, wait, what year is it exactly? As he would say this. Well, it's, date and year of this world. I don't really know, the actual date and the actual year of My Hero Academia, so wait for a second. As he would say this. It's been a while, I guess, so guess I'll just have to tell you. The name's Cuchulainn, the greatest hero of Ireland, but also known as the Child of Light. So, may I ask you, do you want power, right? You want to change this world, right? As he would say this. Yes. As he would say this. Do you seek power? As he would say this. Yes. As he would say this. Then very well. If you want to get power, then maybe move to Ireland. My master is probably waiting for you. As he would say this. Your master? As he would say this. Yep. I mean, she's kind of a bit of a bitch, but don't worry. And besides, if you were to leave now, I mean, nobody would ever remember you. Maybe because you are quirkless. Or that's what people call you anyway. As he would say this. Then, why should I trust you? As he would say this. Do you seriously don't trust me? I guess I'll just have to show you then. As his body would start changing, his muscles start being more defined, as his mark or his tattoos start moving, rearranging, as his face would start turning into more of a wolf, his eyes would start turning blood red, as he would say this. Then, you betting. As he would say this. I, as he starts going into his mind. No, I'm not afraid. I should not be afraid. I mean, this is probably just an illusion. Yeah. As Izuku would say this. I am not afraid. As he would say this. Really? As he would say this. Yeah. I'm tired of running away. I'm tired of being called weak. Come on. Just bite me. Kill me. And rip me apart. I don't even care. As he would say this. I guess you are ready, kid. As he would start reverting back. As he would say this. Well then, pack up your things. We're going to Ireland. As he would say this. So, I'm running away from home. As he would say this. Yep, pretty much. But don't worry. We'll come back. But stronger. And maybe my master might even beat you. I don't really tell most of the time. I mean, she did beat me to the pulp. I meant, wait for a second. I mean, my master did basically rip me apart and also put me back together again all the time. As Izuku would say this. Excuse me, what? As he would say this. Oh, nothing. Anyway, you just start packing up before your mother might arrive. As he would say this. Fine. As he would start packing all of his things, knowing that he's probably never gonna come back. But Cuchulainn does have, well, another type of, well, thing in mind. And don't worry, he's surely gonna come back. So, after he does change all of his clothes and also, well, takes all of his things, he would start running away, putting the keys right in his room. Not only that, a piece of paper saying that he's gonna be leaving, never to be seen again. So, Ezekiel is now on the streets of his neighborhood, now running away. So, let's go to Bakugo's perspective, shall we? Because this is actually going to be pretty important. So, Bakugo is basically doing whatever he wants, still being prideful as a bitch and also being yelled at his mother. He's basically, walking around the neighborhood as he sees Izuku running away with all of his stuff. As Bakugo would think, what the hell is that nerd doing? I guess it's time for me to follow him. Besides, I've been looking for another punching bag. That stupid entrance exam is pretty much easy, so why not have a challenge? And maybe breaking his bones again. I meant breaking his bones again. As Bakugo would start using explosions to start following Izuku. Izuku would start moving and moving as he finds a docking area filled with ships and also some other fishing, he's basically at a market, specifically a port side market, as he sees a ship that's currently bringing in some soldiers, or more specifically soldiers that don't want to join this, well, let's just say an unspecific war. As Izuku would say this, that's perfect. As Kuko laid this, that ship is actually going to Ireland. Maybe you should go there as well. After all, we are going to Ireland, especially meeting my master. As he would say this, yeah, I know. As he would start moving. As Bakugo would see that Izuku is basically going on a ship, as Bakugo would see this, wait, is that nerd actually gonna... I guess that nerd actually knows what he's doing. Finally knowing that he's never gonna become a great person after all. Quarkless are just going to be subjected. Nothing more than weaklings, deserving death. And... wait. Inko. Oh no. I forgot! As he would start going towards Izuku, as Izuku just goes into the boat as it starts moving away. Bakugo would start chasing the boat by using explosions, but his explosions would basically run out as he falls into the water, as Bakugo would say this, damn it! Why? That nerd! Why did you leave? Shit. He would realize that if Izuku does leave, then let's just say that his mother is going to be pretty pissed, including Inko. Yeah. And yeah, let's go back to somebody else, specifically, well, wait for a second, Izumi. So, Izumi is basically now, after the whole entrance exam, yeah. So, after she's leaving, she's talking to All Might. All Might explained that she did well in the entrance exam, as she would say this, thank you, All Might, and thank you for training me. As he would say this, oh, don't worry, young Midoriya. Anyway, you should start going back home before... wait for a second. Before your mother might get worried, says All Might. As she would say this, oh yeah, see ya. As she starts going back home, as she would say this, I just hope Izuku isn't that angry. I just want to say sorry, and want to explain what really did happen. So, she starts remembering how she gained this power, the power of one for all. So, instead of the whole, sludge villain incident and saving Bakugo, instead, she saw a kid basically getting attacked by this, well, other villain. She defended the villain from this child, and she saved the child, but she was scolded by the heroes that were basically trying to, basically waiting for like a hero that's more specialized in that. All Might was watching this as All Might would, approach, Izumi. Izumi would not expect that All Might was actually this, deflated man, as when she did realize that it was actually All Might, she would gladly accept One for All. After she did, she became the new One for All user as he basically started training just like Izuku, just like in canon. So, when she did get back home, using her key, or at least the key that she was given by her mother, Inko, she started opening the door as she sees everything is still intact. As she starts calling for Izuku. Hey, Izuku, are you there? Izuku! As she starts walking around as she sees his door, or at least his room. So, she opens his, door as you'd look and see that Izuku's not there. It was weird for her as... Wait for a second. Anyway, so... Izumi is still looking for Izuku, as she couldn't find him, including the backyard and also even the kitchen. As she would say this, "Where's Izuku? Izuku, are you there? Where are you?" As she would look inside of Izuku's room again, as she would see a letter. Not only that, she realized that some of his stuff is basically gone. Wait for a second. So, after realizing that some of his stuff and also seeing a letter on his, table, and also seeing, some things are basically broken, she would look at the letter as she would realize Izuku left. The note says, "Hello, if any of you are reading this, I'm sorry but I couldn't take it anymore, so... Sorry, Izumi. I'm leaving. After realizing that you were lying to me, that you had a quirk, I decided to just leave. I'm just a burden to this family. Don't even try to find me. I would rather die alone than ever talk to a person that has a quirk." As it has one more line on the bottom of the paper saying, "Hope to never see you again. Signed, Izuku. P.S. My belongings are now yours, or at least some of it." She would start crying on this letter as tears rolled down as she would say this. "Izuku, no. Please, don't leave me. Izuku." She would start crying as she would say this. "Izuku, please come back. Please be a joke. Please." She would start crying and crying. As when Inko arrives, as she would see the letter that Izumi is basically holding, as she also cries, saying, "My baby, please come back." She would also cry with her. So, they would call the police to try and find them, but they didn't really care. The only thing that they thought in their minds, seeing this kid basically run away, and after hearing that he was quirkless, they would say that it's a common occurrence and say to just leave it alone, saying that a person like him should probably just come back in a few days, or maybe in a corpse form to say the least. Inko would get mad as when, you know, wait for a second, and when Izumi was training with All Might, preparing for the day of UA, and also telling him about Izuku's disappearance, he would also start to cry, and also tells her that she would, or at least he would try to find Izuku as well. And as for Bakugo, After hearing that Izuku is basically gone, or at least seeing it firsthand, he still feels guilty but doesn't care. He says that it's his, decision, saying that it's his fault for being quirkless, but he still feels a bit of guilt. So let's go back to Izuku, shall we? So, it's been a few weeks in this, boat, as he's basically hiding under the decks, or the dock, or whatever you want to call it, as he's currently been feeding himself by basically getting some of the rations and started eating it, as Kukulane would say this. Hey, Izuku, as Izuku would say this. What is it, Kukulane? As he would say this. Well, in case if you're wondering, maybe try not to eat too much. After all, if you eat too much, let's just say you're gonna have a bad time with, my master. As he would say this. Then tell me who's your master exactly. As he would say this. Well, her name is Skahak. She trained me in how to use my spear, Guy Bolga. As he would say this. Guy Bolga. As he would say this. Yep, that's my spear, and unfortunately my spear was taken away by, Skahak after I died. But you can inherit it. Don't worry, I'll just have to tell her myself. As he would say this. So she can see you as well. As he would say this. Yep, after all, she is part goddess. As he would say this. Excuse me. What did you just say? As he would say this. Well, she is part goddess. Are you surprised? I mean, commonly in my world, or at least in my time period, gods are pretty much everywhere in my world. As he would say this. So you're telling me that gods and also goddesses actually existed? As he would say this. Well, there's also monsters, demons, and as he would say this. Are you serious? As he would say this. Yep, very much serious. As Izuku would just say this. Oh my god. Either I'm hallucinating or just crazy. As he would say this. I promise you, Skahak is real. As Izuku would say this. Whatever. Anyway, so what time are we going to make it? As he would say this. Maybe about a few days. So, a few days have gone by as Izuku makes it to Ireland. As when he did, he would get off the boat as he would start sneaking around the docks as he starts going into the town. As for Kukulane would instruct him to try and find his burial site. So, after a while of talking to some villagers, which was a bit hard because at the time Pete doesn't know how to speak Irish, but Kukulane does and kind of translated for him. So, after a bit of talking to some of the villagers, they told Izuku that his burial site is currently in a other town. So after a while of walking and also telling some villagers to maybe I don't know, or some people to bring him there, maybe by I don't know, maybe by car or carriage or whatever. When he does make it there, he finds the burial site of Kukulane. As he would also see another person there. A cloaked figure. This cloaked figure seems to have a symbol on her back, or more specifically, on her cloak's back. It seems to be a symbol of a spear. As Izuku would be told by Kukulane to approach this lady, as he would say this. Hello, miss. As she would grab him by his arm as she would say this. Miss, most people just call me by my real name, Skahak. As he would say this. Wait, you're Skahak? As it turns out that Skahak seems to be a bit younger. As, she would also see Kukulane. As Kukulane would say this. Oh, hi, Matt. As she would kick Kukulane right in the face, as he would say this. Oh, what was that? I mean, I'm supposed to be your student, as he would say this. Or I meant she. Former student. Huh, it seems that you decided to just pick this boy then. Right? As she would say this. I meant he. Yeah, this is Izuku. He is my, as she would say this. I guess you decided to pick your own, well, wait for a second. Inheritor of your spear, Guy Bolga, as he would say this. Yeah, and I want you to maybe train him. As she would look over at Izuku, as she would say this. Hey kid, you want to become a hero, right? A true hero? As he would say this. Yeah, I want to become a hero. Even though I didn't want to become one. I want to become one now. I want to change this world. Change it for the better. So please teach me. As she would say this. You sound just like Kukulane back in the day. As he would say this. Yeah, I mean he does. As she would say this. Very well, kid. But first, we should go to my realm. The land of sky and shadow. As he would say this. The land of sky and shadow. As she would say this. Yep. You just need to, I don't know. As she would open the portal behind him, as he would be kicked right in the face, or more specifically in the stomach, I meant the stomach, right in the stomach, as he would be thrown into the portal, as she would say this. Alright, Kukulane, you can go in as well, as he would say this. Okay. As he would start going into the portal, as Skahak would go into the portal and make the portal disappear. So, yeah, this is going to be the end of this episode. So, this was a fun-filled episode to say the least. Anyway, so, this is going to be the end of this episode. And so, let's, well, wait for a second. God dang it. Sorry about that. I had to pause because, well, something happened. Anyway, so, I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!